welcome back to today's countertop. So today we're going to be making a really nice, delicious olive babka. So of course I got the recipe of the babka bread recipe from Khulood Olagi, but I decided to make my own savory twist on it and to put an olive spread in the middle. It turned out so good. I can't wait any longer to show you guys how to make it now. Let's get started. Okay, so ingredients needed are flour, warm milk, salt, sugar, yeast, an egg, butter, room temperature butter, olive oil. Okay, and then this is for the olive spread. Olive oil and any kind of olives you want. Today I'm going to be using these three: kalamata, green, and black, garlic, and parsley. Now let's get started again. Okay, so the first step is to mix the sugar with your milk and the yeast. Then we're just going to set it for 5 minutes so that the yeast can bloom. Okay, so while we wait on our yeast to bloom, we're going to make the olive filling. So we're just going to mix everything together. We're going to put everything in the chopper or a food processor if you have one. So as you can see, my chopper is on the smaller side, so I'm just going to do half at a time. Okay, so after you added in your olives, just going to close it, and you're going to blend it together. After I chopped my first batch, I'm going to add in some olive oil. And then we're going to blitz it some more. Okay, so this is the consistency I'm going to keep it at. Of course, if you want, you could make it more chunky or you could ground it more. But for me, this is good. So I'm just going to empty it in a bowl. I'm going to do my second batch and I'll come back. Okay, so this is the consistency that I like. It's a little chunky, but so now you can season it however you like. Some people add salt and pepper. For me, I don't eat salt because I think that the olives are pretty salty themselves. So we're just gonna set this aside for now while we make our babka dough. So now for the babka dough, we're just gonna, in a mixing bowl, you're gonna add in the flour, salt, an egg, and our milk yeast mixture. Then we're just gonna mix it for several minutes until the dough starts to come together and it should pull from the sides of the bowl. Okay, so after our dough has pulled away from the sides, that's how you know it's ready. Now we're just gonna add in butter a little bit at a time, and you're gonna mix it. And then you don't wanna add in another bit until you don't see the butter anymore. Okay, so our dough is done. Here I have a new bowl. We're gonna put some olive oil in it. Not too much. Then you're gonna pick up the dough. Just make it into a round shape. Then we're just gonna... Okay, so after we've coated your dough in oil, we're just gonna cover it and then we're gonna let it proof or rise. So a hack I really like to use, I use this all the time by the way. So you turn your oven light on so it can get a little warm. Note that your oven should not be turned on or be preheating. And then you're just gonna put your bowl in the oven and then it'll rise in half the time, or for me it normally rises in half the time. I'm just gonna cover this, let it rise, and then come back. Oh, and I also had this covered and I'm gonna set it in the fridge. Okay, so as you can see, my dough has risen and has doubled in size. Now is my favorite part, we're gonna roll it out. So I've lightly dusted my work surface with flour, and as you can see, since I have a small silicone loaf thing, I'm going to be splitting my dough in half. Half I'm going to be making the babka loaf, and then with the other half I'm going to attempt to make like a babka knot. We'll see how that goes. Now I'm just going to roll out my dough into a rectangle form. Try to make it as even as possible. Okay, so after I rolled out, make sure that it's rolled out to the size of your loaf pan. Gonna add a little bit of olive oil, not too much. You're just gonna wipe it a little bit. Now we're gonna add our olive spread. When you marinate it, it smells so good. I'm just gonna add. Now I'm just gonna spread it out and spread it out evenly. After I've added a thin layer of our olive spread, we're gonna start rolling. I am not the best at rolling, that's for sure. Okay, so at the end, you're gonna wanna put the 2 pieces of dough and you're gonna lock it. So that when you bake it, the olives don't come out. Also the edges. Now that I have my olive log ready, we're just gonna cut into it. We're gonna leave a little bit of space at the top and then we'll cut it. Okay, so after we cut it, we're just gonna start braiding, or I just like to flip each side. Like this. You don't want it to be too long though, if you have a short pan like me. Now we're just gonna cut the top. And I'm gonna transfer it to my loaf pan. Okay, so after I put it in my silicone loaf thing, I know it doesn't look the best, but hopefully if it rises, it'll fill the tin. So just wait till it rises. And I'm gonna be working on the twists. Okay, so with the other half of my dough, I've just cut it into quarters. Now I'm gonna try to make small babkas and then twist them. They could be like small babka twists. Now I'm just gonna add in some of my olive, spread it. Then I'm gonna roll it like the mom babka. Okay, so while I was testing the mini babka rolls, I noticed that they were harder. They're a little hard, but as I was doing them, this is the last one. I think I found out how to like make it easier. So I think maybe rolling them thinner and adding less filling will make them easier when you come to roll. And when we take pictures of those, you might see some funky looking ones, ugly ones, but it's cooking. What's cooking without trial and error? So I'm just gonna do this one. Okay, so when it comes to twisting, it's basically just after you braid, you're just gonna start from one end. Roll it. Should come out something like this. Okay, so as you can see, these are the little rolls that we made. So this is the one where I started too much filling. This one I tried to make a tiny one. And then this one had too little filling. This is where I started to get better, and then this is the last one. So, takes time, patience, and you'll just get better as you go. So, I'm just gonna cover these and then I'm gonna let them proof for 20 to 25 minutes, and then we'll pop them in the oven with our big mommy babka. Okay, so after my big mama loaf has proofed for a while, now we're just gonna throw on some egg wash. I'm joking. Don't throw it on. Lightly brush it, but try to get only like the dough part, if possible. Try not to get on the olive part. Okay, so basically the whole point of the egg wash is to give us some color, some browning, just to make it look nice. So now I'm just gonna throw it in the, no more throwing. Gently place it in the oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 180 degrees Celsius. I think you know now. And I'll tell you how long it takes after it bakes. Peace out. Okay, so my loaf is fresh out of the oven. Of course, I let it cool for a little bit. This took about 35 minutes. And then these did not turn out how I expected at all. I was thinking maybe half the size or a quarter of this one. But these took about 20 minutes overall. I'm gonna cut into it and we'll see how it tastes. Okay, so let's do the most decent looking babka. First, let me be a good food critic and let me just show you something. Nice crunchification right there. Okay, so now let's cut into it. So fluffy. Because I just want you guys to admire. I just wanted to show you guys, admire how it looks. So you see the bottom is like crispy, and then the middle is like so soft. It's like having bread, but like instead of putting like your spread on the top, that's boring. This has like whatever you put on top of bread, it's like already in here. So now it's time for the taste test. I already know this is gonna be good. This is so good. I'm gonna dip it with some lip now.